Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Jeffries, and today for Sunday reading, we're reading When Charlie Button and the Power or Lost Power. When Charlie McButton lost power. Sorry, that was hard to read backwards. Do do for Charlie and Isabel, and for Rogan. Charlie McButton had likes and like nots. The things that he liked involved headsets and bots, computerized games where he battled bad creatures. The things he liked not didn't have blow up features. There he is, playing on his compote. Then one day, a thunderstorm blew into town and brought his tech empire tumbling down. A lightning bolt struck an electrical tower, and Charlie McButton, his whole world lost power. He looked left, he looked right, and his little heart filled with dread. The TV and the lights and his clock were all dead. He jumped to his feet, his lungs gasping for air. The room spun around, and he clung to his chair. He tried to cry help, but just managed to squeak. The blackout had blacked out his power to speak. Thank goodness his mother had ears like a bat. She came to his room and she gave him a pat. This book is a little ridiculous, not gonna lie. Oh, Charlie, she said, picking up on his fears. The lights will be back on when the bad weather clears. You'll have to find something without plugs to play. Read a book, clean your room, sing a song, model clay. Model clay. Could anything be better than could anything be any duller than clay? Soggy gray clay on a soggy gray day. He hated the way clay got under his nails and how he could only make snowmen and snails. He dove for a gadget he'd outgrown last spring. It was handheld, outdated, not much of a thing, but he clutched the old toy like a lifeline that day. See, it ran on one battery, the size AAA. He flicked the on and off switch to double quick, but no happy humming sound followed the click. He unlatched a hatch and his blood turned to ice. The battery is gone from my backup device. World records were set in the 10-meter dash as a way down the hallway he flew like a flash. All right. Seeking one battery, just one AAA that would rescue one boy from a gray day of clay. But just when his search nearly drove him insane, he ran past the bedroom of Isabel Jane. His 3-year-old sister was happily walking a doll back and forth, and the doll, it was talking. Now, dolls didn't talk on their own as a rule. They needed needed a power source, some kind of fuel. In less than a second, he made his decision. Call it bad judgment, a real lack of vision. Somehow his head didn't warn of his folly, and Charlie McButton pounced on that dolly. He's very upset there. Look at him getting that doll. Jeez. He plucked out his prize through the baby doll's dress, and Isabel Jane made a sound of distress. It was just a short walk to the foot of the stair where resided the McButton timeout chair. Time chair? To add to the fun of his term in the seat, Isabel Jane came to play at his feet. And Isabel Jane, the battery queen, had more triple A's than than he'd ever seen. They powered her puppies, they powered her clocks, they powered her talkative alphabet blocks. Assaulted by non-stop mechanical chatter, Charlie McButton got madder and madder. He snapped at his sis from his timeout time zone. How come you can't ever just leave me alone? Her eyes filled with tears, and she gave them a rub. She went to the bathroom and hid in the tub. Aw. Then Charlie McButton felt totally rotten, and he couldn't help thinking something he'd forgotten. Mainly, he thought that his sister, for sisters that toddled, Isabel Jane was pretty good model. She clearly adored him. She didn't have fleas. At dinner, she'd secretly eat up his peas. And sometimes, although he'd mostly hotly deny it, he'd like to just sit there beside her in quiet, wrapped in a blanket watching TV, her head on his shoulder, her foot on his knee. He sat and he thought and he he stared at the rain. When his timeout was done, he found Isabel Jane. From the edge of the tub, she gave him a peek. So he said, "Hey, are we playing hide and go seek?" She was happy at once and ran into the hall, as she loved playing hide and go seek most of all. They took turns being it and counted to 10. They hid in the plants and in the guinea pig pen. And when he found Isabella Jane in her quilt, they decided to build a blanket fort should be built. Then the gloom made him think about dragons and spells. So Charlie became a great wizard McSmells. And Isabella Jane, who desired a role, magically changed into his faithful old troll. Between tracking down dragons and brewing up lizards and handling the day-to-day business of wizards, like foraging his faithful old troll a new sword, Charlie McButton forgot to be bored. At supper, they ate under real candlelight. The daytime had melted right into the night, and after they had all been asleep for an hour, the world came alive with a big surge of power. Oh, it's finally back, Charlie thought with a grin. Tomorrow I'll wake up and I can plug in. But another thought hit him he couldn't explain. I might also find dragons with Isabel Jane. Oh, that was a great story. Thank you for listening in, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.